The following program contains graphic material, including offensive language. Viewer discretion is advised.
Are you ready? Hey everybody, welcome back. It's good to see y'all. Well, quite a interesting evening there. We had Sarah Palin losing her election in Alaska, the special election anyway, to Mary Peltola, I guess is how you say her name, and she's a native of Alaska. And the funny part of this is that when they interviewed Palin's reaction, she was like, "Oh, we're not done. This war's not over yet." And then you get Peltola's reaction, and it's very, serious, kind of, gracious and, more civilized in tone, not in maniacal like the way Palin did it. And I'm thinking, boy, what a stark contrast the two of them were. And if that's the way Sarah Palin was running her election in Alaska, it's not a wonder she lost. But I can't say how happy, that I was to hear about that. Because that's one crazy nut that we managed to, keep out of the fucking keep out of the established system that we're trying to rebuild and protect, from people like this who don't belong in any fucking political seat. Okay, they're living they're living down the wrong path. Okay, they never really got to know what their real purpose in life is. They picked up a false purpose and they're taking that as far as they can without any background in order to continue them to push them forward. Okay, they're just going on their looks or on the things they say, but they really aren't they're not really meant to be politicians. Okay, and there is such a thing as that. Okay, some people, and we got history to back up this, is that there's been people in our government who actually seem to belong as senator, congressman, president, governor, okay, whoever. We've had people like that who really did the job they were meant to do in their life. But then we got a lot of other people who want to be that and try like hell to be that because they're driven by a motivation that isn't sincere and it doesn't fit with the ideals and principles of what being a leader is supposed to be in this country. Okay, people like Marjorie Taylor Greene and Lauren Boebert, people like them. Okay, those two are not supposed to be politicians either. If they were honest with themselves, they would be doing a whole different line of work, okay, because they don't belong there. That's just a quick way for them to get money so they can keep buying whatever the hell it is they're buying. But, that's kind of what that is. And Palin is one of those people who should not be given that. Even, look, if John McCain was still alive today, I'm sure he would agree with what I just said about that. She was a mistake. Okay, they didn't realize that until after she opened her yap, and they said, "What the hell did you guys do?" But it's just, she doesn't belong in politics. She's dangerous because what she says is just echoing what right-wing demagogues say on the radio or on TV every friggin' day. Okay, but she has no idea about political things or even historical things for that matter. She just doesn't have the education to go with it. So Alaska, you did the right thing. Okay, you put somebody in that seat of power. It's only going to be for a couple of months, Okay, but you put the right person in there, and not give her, Palin, another shot at doing something that's going to, bite your state in the ass later on. Okay, now hopefully in November when she runs again, because she is going to run again for another seat out in Alaska, the voters will be willing to keep her away from it again. Okay, certainly this loss doesn't look good for her. Okay, because it shows that there are Alaskans out there who really aren't really willing to put up with her again. Okay, okay, they were embarrassed enough as it is when she was McCain's running mate. I don't think they really want to see their state shamed again by this lady's ignorance, willing thereof to be ignorant, and the things that she says. Who the hell would want that? I mean, it's just it's crazy. So yeah, I'm glad that things turned out that way, and so was George Takei here, who made a tweet here, I guess. And let me get to his quote here. He wrote on Twitter, "If a Democrat can win a statewide race in Alaska, Democrats can win everywhere. Congratulations to Mary Peltola on defeating Sarah Palin for Alaska's congressional House seat and becoming the first Native Alaskan ever elected to Congress." And that got over 54,000 likes. So, let's see here. There's another person, Aaron Black, wrote, "A Democrat has won a U.S. House seat in Alaska that was in Republican hands for 49 years. Mary Peltola just defeated Sarah Palin in Alaska. The narrative has shifted." Hashtag Blue Wave. This is from Media's Touch. Democrat Mary Peltola just defeated Sarah Palin and will take a House seat that has been in Republican control for 49 years. Wow, Republicans are truly in the finding out stage. Sarah Palin, this is from Illy Mistel. Sarah Palin, who in many ways started this insane madness, lost. That's enough of a victory for today. And then Ron Filipkowski says, "This is where Trump blames Sarah Palin for running a terrible campaign, not listening to his advice, and he only endorsed her because someone else recommended her." And the Lincoln Project also had put up a video reaction here on Twitter. An excerpt taken from that movie about Sarah Palin and John McCain race. I don't know if any of you've seen it, but it's kind of funny because Sarah Palin was portrayal in that movie was not was not a positive thing. So I just like I said, a lot of people are really happy that she lost because we was really ashamed, and it was good that she never got to be a vice president. My God, can you imagine what she would have done at that job? And so let me see here. They got this thing. Yep. So that's that. And so on the Hollywood end of things here, Chris Rock once again said a joke that offended people. This time it was Nicole Brown Simpson's sister who reacted to a joke that Chris Rock had made at the Oscars. Yeah. The Academy Awards, I'm sorry. And he what did he say? He goes, he was slapped by Will Smith during this year's Oscars, equated hosting the award show to returning to the scene of the crime, the outlet reported. He then reportedly referenced O.J. Simpson's murder trial, joking it would be like asking Brown Simpson, quote, to go back to the restaurant, unquote, the night she died. Brown Simpson left a pair of glasses at the restaurant. Quote, nothing is more lovely than to wake up on a Tuesday morning, not with TMZ calling you saying Chris Rock made a horrible joke about Nicole, unquote, Brown wrote on Instagram on Tuesday alongside a photo of the comedian, as well as a photo of Simpson and Brown Simpson, quote unquote, beyond distasteful. The thing, here with Chris Rock is like, we had comedians that used to go there like that in the past, okay? And I think at times, even in the past, some comedians did offend people, but nothing was really ever made of it at the time, because I think in the past, most people understood that it was like a roast, basically. Remember there used to be a TV show with Martin Dean in it, and Don Rickles, and and some guest actors that would show up every once in a while. I mean, I watch it, reruns of it sometimes. It's funny, and they could get pretty insulting, with that. But everybody there knows, and even the audience knows, that it's all supposed to be. That's how it is. It's a joke, okay? Nothing said is actually meant, like that's what they really think, okay? They just try to pick something out that about you, okay, since you're the target, to try to make a joke about, okay? And I'm sure that they, at the time, the people that guest star on it know what they're in for, okay? They know what they're in for. That's probably why a lot of them guests were actors, okay? Because regular people probably would not want to be put under the spotlight in that way, okay? Maybe when Chris Rock was growing up, he's probably older than I am, but maybe when he was growing up and he watched that show, if he did, probably didn't understand that aspect of the show, okay? That you're not looking at regular, ordinary people being picked on. You're looking at people who know that they're going on a show where they're going to be picked on, and even though these people are saying these things to make everybody laugh, that's not really what they think, okay? They're just trying to make people laugh by saying certain things, okay? It's sort of like, how can I say it? It's sort of like when you pick up a magazine, okay, and it's got some commentary in it, and you might not agree with the commentator or something. It's kind of like that. It doesn't mean you want to start a fight with the commentator or things, okay? But to make a joke concerning a murder that was a big thing back in the 90s, or the OJ case was a really big thing, and a lot of people in this country were really wrapped up into that, okay? They're going to go on the defensive. They're going to take Tanya Brown's side, okay? They're going to take her side because there's a lot of people out there who think what they think, that the O.J. Simpson was guilty and got away with it. It's still a sore spot in America, even after all these years. It's still, it's still a tender thing in this country to go and poke your fingers at. Chris Rock should have known that, okay? But then, some comedians feel like, well, if things were off limits, then you make everything off limits, okay? If you can't joke about this, then they're gonna say you can't joke about that, you can't joke about this, and then all of a sudden their world becomes, much thinner, that they really are limited on what they can laugh and joke about, which a lot of comedians today are saying is happening right now, because a lot of Americans are really sensitive about a lot of different things. Why that's happening, I don't know. I don't know why that's happening. Maybe it's because of years of people trying to protect themselves, shield themselves from injustices, that now anytime somebody's feelings are hurt, there has to be a movement to prevent that from happening again, okay? Plus there's the thing where we're trying to change the language, the narrative of way we speak to each other in this country. We can't use the N-word, we can't do, we can't say this because it's racist, we can't say that, it's because, racist. That people have taken it further, saying now you can't say this because that's inappropriate, or that because it's inappropriate. And the thing is, you keep going down that avenue, and where does it stop? You know what I'm saying? Where does it begin to start taking away your freedom of speech? And that's what a lot of comedians today are trying to say, is that, if you keep going down this road, eventually nobody is going to be able to say anything at all in this country without offending somebody. And they see that that's happening. Okay? And certainly I have noticed since the 80s how comedy has changed in this country. Okay? It's changed a lot. Okay, that's why I can't look at modern sitcoms today. They are simply not funny. I'm sorry. I just cannot laugh at the lame jokes they tell on these sitcoms that people seem to say, oh, that's a great show, it's a great show. Really? I still watch Sanford and Son. I still watch All in the Family. I still watch Good Times. I still watch The Jeffersons. These are shows that are set in history as being the funny things they were, okay? But you couldn't play any of that stuff on the air today. In fact, you can't even play it on these stream channels because of some of the language used. They edit that out. You can tell if you're a person who watches reruns all the friggin' time. Like we watch Star Trek, when they cut something out of a scene, okay? You know when they do that because you've seen the episode like 400 times, and then the 401st time they show it, you say, hey, they took that out, they took this out, you can tell. And that's the sign of the times. They won't be able to play those episodes on TV unless they did that. And when they do that, they take the meat out of the joke, basically. You don't get what the audience is laughing their asses off for because these things were recorded in front of a live studio audience, okay? So they were able to get live reactions, okay? Today, it's all dead people laughing in the background, okay? There's no real laughter anywhere, okay? And we know that they have signs, lighted signs up on the top there that tells the audience when to applause and all that, Okay, it's all staged. Even to the audience, it's staged. Okay, there's nothing genuine anymore in these comedies. Even the Connors, okay, which I knew when they took Roseanne out of it, it was going to be lame. I was right. Okay, the show is still on the air only because they want to keep it on the air, and I think in jest of Roseanne to try to show her that, see, the show never needed you in the first place. This thing will stay running for bullshit. How many people are still watching it? The show has become just your ordinary, regular sitcom that in the 80s would never have saw the light of day, okay, because it simply isn't funny anymore, okay? It's only on the air now as a tribute to the actors who were in the original show, as it were, and they got they got a reaction from the people when they heard that they were all going to be fired because of what Roseanne said, and people say, why fire everybody, because of what she said in a tweet, and that's why it's still on. But I doubt that many people today could tell you what the last episode of Roseanne or the Connors was, because they're not watching it, okay? They're not watching it. And Roseanne, being the kind of person she is, they knew that when they said, yes, we'll do a return to the show. They knew that. They knew what she was like, but they agreed to it. So they got what they asked for, okay? And for them to pin it on her, to throw her out on her ear, okay, and threaten the entire show as a future as a whole, was really, dishonest, because they were all in it together, all of them. So they knew what they were getting when they were getting her back on the show. They knew damn well. And if they didn't spell it out to her before they took her on, they should have done that. Okay? So, like I said, but with Chris Rock here, what he said, okay, on this, I have to say, well, when you're joking about a murder, there's really not much funny you can get out of that, okay? Because, so many people's feelings were really upended about O.J. Simpson. They never thought he was that kind of guy, okay? But then when they started hearing those 911 calls and everything, and we started to see that, he has a violent temper, and it makes him more susceptible than not that he was the one that did the murder, okay? People really didn't like that. Even after he was acquitted, a lot of people just didn't want nothing to do with him after that because they knew he was a loose cannon, that they, we were always in the back of people's mind. They're going to say, there's a possibility if I piss that guy off enough, he's going to come back and decapitate me with a fucking knife, okay? That's what they found out about him. So people today that went through that period, making a joke about that is it's still not right. I mean, I think it's just, you can't laugh. It's like making a joke about, some serial killer or something, or some specific murder that Ted Bundy did, or some specific murder, that, Jeffrey Dahmer did, or, or BTK, any of these people, okay? It's not funny, okay? Because somebody died as a result. Some family suffered as a result. How can you dig up something funny in that, okay? And I think, a lot of people, a lot of comedians, really, that should be where the line has to be, at least a line drawn there. It's like, well, look, you can joke about other things like that, other things. But when it comes to a murder or a homicide or, something brutal, you don't want to really go there. What he could have done would just said this. It probably wouldn't have been as funny, but there would have been a chuckle or two from the audience. It would have said, well, going back to the the academy would be like going back to the scene of a crime. He could have just left it like that. Why did he have to bring O.J. Simpson's case into that? Okay, that was taking a step too far, I think. He could have just said a scene of a crime. That would have been fine for a joke. Okay, I think the audience would have got that. But when he went and took it further, and by bringing up, Nicole Brown and O.J. and all that stuff, to try to add more impact to the joke, then you wonder, is he really trying to say something funny, or is he trying to take a dig at something? Okay, was this like a dart shot at somebody? Because then you have to wonder, if nobody's laughing, then you have to say, well, that wasn't really funny. And why did he say it? He must have known it wasn't going to be taken that well. He's not dumb. He's been a comedian for a long time. He ought to know what's going to sell and what ain't going to sell on the stage. Okay? But the Jada thing that happened, in the previous thing where he got slapped, that's different, okay? Because, she was right there, all right? And Will was laughing after he said it, okay? But then when he looked at his wife and she looked pissed, all of a sudden his laughter stopped and he just got right up on that stage and hit him. Okay, so, that's, there was, that was more like a roast, okay? And they knew what Chris Rock was like back, at that time, that he was going to say something funny, right? But he's not going to tell everybody the fucking jokes he's going to say, right? Okay, because then it's like the magician giving away his act. So he's, he said that, but he said it, in a way that you knew he was trying to say that with it as a joke. Okay, he didn't mean it. Okay, and I don't think he realized that, she didn't have her hair cut off like that on purpose. It was, alopecia. Okay, even though she looked fine without the hair. Okay, I figured, everybody else must have thought the same way too. And she looked just fine. There's a lot of women that have, no hair, and they know how to do themselves up and look nice. Okay, they really do. But I guess at the time it wasn't really publicly known that well that she had it. Okay, and if he didn't know, then I guess, some exception could be made there in his case. All right. So, but there is no exception here in this. There's no exception here in laughing about a brutal thing like that, because everybody knew the details in and out. 100 friggin' TV movies made about it. Okay, we know all the fucking story behind it and the bullshit around it. Okay, there's nothing there that you can laugh about, and the anguish on the family's faces here in the aftermath. It's difficult to watch, and you can't really laugh about it. It's like trying to find something in the Holocaust to laugh about. You can't. There's nothing in it. It's not supposed to be funny. All right? It would be very, very, very difficult for a comedian to find something hysterical to laugh about concerning that. So I wouldn't even, if as a comedian, I wouldn't touch that with a 50-foot pole. I mean, that would be, beware. You want to end your career, make a joke about that, you're going to be done forever. Okay? And so, but I do think that, you know, we're putting too many barriers now out there for speech. And I think we have to be a little bit more thoughtful before we say, you know, let's be a little bit more thoughtful and understand that once you start down that road, there's no limit to how far you can take it to stop people from saying it. Then what happens to those, you know, the world of comedy, you know, or the job thereof of being a comedian? I mean, what happens to that? It gets thrown under the bus, it actually dies. I mean, you won't have any more comedians anymore. Shows, they won't even be allowed to be funny anymore because every joke could possibly offend somebody or someone, you know. I mean, where do you draw the line, okay? You know, I just think it's a mistake to allow it to go on that way. So, anyway, let's go to commercial break. We shall return.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me!
This is me.
I'm Alex Curtis. I'm a lobsterman in Maine, and this is me.
I'm Ruth McLaughlin, and this is me.
I'm Eric Hopkins. I'm an artist, and this is me.
This is me.
Me.
This is me.
This is me.
This is me.
At the end of the journey, the main thing is you, original.
Once upon a time, in a place called Mzansi, the people loved driving cars everywhere. They used lots and lots of electricity and chopped down many trees for firewood. And then a very strange thing happened. The weather began to change. In some places there were droughts where before there was rain. In other places the rivers flooded. The grown-ups realized they were contributing to the strange weather. They discovered if they used clean energy and less electricity, they could save Mzansi for their children.
What happened then?
How the story unfolds is up to each and every one of us. Switch off, recycle, change. Help save tomorrow.
We need to send a very big message to the federal government that we're not going to take this anymore. We need to fire the federal government.
Interesting idea. Maybe it's a good idea. Of course, 42% of Arizona's budget comes from the federal government, so that would require a 72% increase in state taxes to fill the gap. You got that kind of money? No more Social Security checks. No more Medicare. Luke Air Force Base? Gone. In fact, say goodbye to most of the Air Force, Army, Marine bases all over the state. Arizona students would need to figure something else out because federal student aid would have to go. And sadly, all the national parks, including the Grand Canyon, well, they'd have to close. And we'd also lose all of our air traffic controllers, which sounds fun. But hey, drug traffickers would be happy. There wouldn't be a DEA in the state anymore.
We need to fire the federal government.
Right now, Carrie Lake is just a kook with crazy ideas. But if Arizona elects her for governor, her crazy ideas could crush Arizona's economy, raise our taxes, make our communities less safe, and turn Arizona into a national joke. Does this still sound like a good idea?
Oj, kolla här. Kolla här.
Då var det där en lavin eller?
Ja, den är kontrollerad. Ni är såna jäkla krafter.
Är det safe?
Ja. De vet vad de gör.
Pappa!
Ja, det är ingen fara.
Bara kontrollera.
Harry, det är lugnt. Harry!
Women with the least likelihood of getting pregnant are the ones most worried about having abortions.
Matt, you seem like a guy that enjoys spending time with a woman. So why are you so angry at them?
Nobody wants to impregnate you if you look like a thumb.
I don't get it.
Are you mad because you have to pay for sex? Allegedly.
They're like 5'2", 350 pounds.
Man, stop.
It almost seems like you're trying to yell loud enough that no one will see you've been hiding something. What are you compensating for?
A few of them need to get up and march. Swing those arms. Get the blood pumping. Maybe mix in a salad.
But Matt, you don't have to yell that loudly. That secret you're so worried about people discovering, it's not big at all.
Be a part of the entertainment value of a lifetime.
I loved it.
It was the best performance I've seen in a lifetime.
I loved the show. I liked it very much. He's a very entertaining man. It's well worth the money.
Now appearing in Charlottetown, coming to Halifax November 6th to the 18th, and St. John November 20th through the 26th.
So the other thing here that we're going to do is something to Trump, which is every day practically. A picture was shown by the press, I guess, of the floor of Trump's home in Mar-a-Lago, and the picture is of all these pictures of all these papers, files, folders of top secret classified data sitting on the ground. Okay, just they spread it out and then they put a evidence card in front of it. Okay, I don't know why that leaked out to the press or something. If that's even the right thing to do, I don't know. But it's out there. And what's the thing that Trump comes out and says about that? Oh, they tried to make it look like I'm a slob. That my place is like that. They dumped all that stuff out from crates that I had in the office. Well, okay, here's two things wrong with what he said. Okay, first, the issue here should not be about how that looks in a photograph, okay? Nobody is taking him to the woodshed here because he may or may not live like a slob. We're taking him to the woodshed because he took stuff that didn't belong to him. Okay, and like it or not, even if you're a president, there are rules and procedures that you must follow when you handle classified data. Okay, top secret data. They just don't hand that to you on a whim just because you're the president. You know, no. I'm sorry. That may come as a surprise to a lot of Americans, but if you read some rules and procedures and stuff like that, you know, you'll find out there's a lot of things the president cannot do. Okay. In office. As president, in office, he can look at this data, but they would take you to some place to be able to look at it in a secure location. They wouldn't just bring that up to your office, okay, without ensuring that this material is not going to get handed off by mistake, okay? That's very well protected stuff, okay? A lot of it military. And for good reason. I mean, you don't know who the hell you can trust. Everyone, that's why you got codes and you got badges and you got all these things to try to prove that you're okay to look at things, okay? And even a president has to have codes and all that stuff to be able to look at stuff, okay? Now, this may be the first time in history that a president ever did something like this, okay? I don't know of any other president that I can think of that took with them information that was classified, brought it home and shoved it in a desk drawer in their office, okay? That, I don't know of that ever happening, okay? And the fact that everybody's trying to say that, oh, the way the FBI acted in this is unprecedented, well, at the same time, what Trump did was unprecedented. Okay, this is the first time the FBI has ever had to deal with a situation like this where their own executive, the boss above them, is out there doing crap like this, okay? I mean, it's different when it's Aldrich Ames, okay, or some traitor like that, okay, that's below you, or even in your own office. Some of these were FBI agents, doing, handing over intelligence to Soviets at the time. But when it's your own president taking this material and you don't know what he's done with it or why it's missing, I mean, Jesus, talk about red alerts all over the goddamn country. If somebody's looking for something that's missing and then they find out the president took it and never got permission, I mean, Jesus, hey, that's not okay. That's not kosher with with our national security. That put a lot of us at risk. Who knows, the damage might have been done, whatever he did with that material. I still say he made copies. I still say he made copies of that stuff to make sure that he still had leverage in some way in case he ever got found out that he had it. He wouldn't have taken it if he didn't need it. Okay, and if it was important enough for him to break the law and take it to his office, he had to have made copies. And I still say he's got copies of some of that material, especially the most important stuff, laying around somewhere that the investigators haven't found yet. And I don't think he's going to be honest about it. Why should we trust him? He's been lying to us ever since this whole investigation started. He handed over 15 boxes of classified data, okay, and then they said, well, this isn't all of it. We're missing more, way more than this. Do you have it? And he's like, no, I handed it all over. I gave it all to you. And then they said, yeah, okay, fine. They got a search warrant. They went over there and they found 100 more fucking boxes to bring out of his house. Okay, so he's lying right from the get-go. That means the Justice Department can't even trust Trump. They can't even trust their own former guy to be honest and upfront about what he was doing with this stuff. So you have to put the legal system at work here. This is where you say, FBI, take over this investigation. Find out what he's got, what he doesn't have. We can't take his word. He'll put his hand on the Bible and set it on fire. We don't trust this fucker. Okay? Why should anybody expect he would be treated any different than that? Okay? Why should that? Why should he be treated any different than that? If it was me, if I was the one that went over to the White House and took out these documents and brought them home and shoved them under my bed or something like that, okay? Do you think I would get a break? Or have an investigation take as long as this to find out if I was guilty? Hell no, I'd probably be lucky to still be alive if they didn't back me up on a wall and put a bullet right here. I mean, Jesus Christ, justice would have been swift in my case, but because it's Trump, the former president, they got to tiptoe around this guy, even though there's smoking guns all around this man, not to mention the friggin' lawyers that he had that are now in trouble too and have their own lawyers. And these new lawyers he's got are shit because, they're not telling Trump, don't say this, don't say that, don't go on TV, don't say a fucking thing. Keep your mouth shut because the minute you talk, you're making it worse. But he can't. He can't help himself. He just can't help himself. He's got to be the center of attention. That's what's going to do him in. That's what's going to do him in because they really don't need to be looking that much harder for anything else that he's got. All they got to do is pull any clip from an interview that he gave on the radio, on TV, Fox News, whatever, and they can find incriminating evidence right there to show that this man is not only guilty, he is 100,000% guilty. Okay, he is the smoking gun. He is the man that did all the wrong. He is sin. He's the one that did it. There's no denying it. Okay, it's as sure as shit that he did it. That, you know, what's people are worried about is what was he going to do with that stuff when he got it. Okay, what was he trying to do with that? Why did he need that 100 and some odd boxes of crap that he got from Washington D.C. when he left the White House? Okay, was he intending to use that against the Biden administration in some way to try to discredit Biden? Was he planning on making money with it by offering these things up wholesale to the Russians or something? You know, his friend Putin over there, was that what he was trying to do? You know, or sell it to the Chinese, who were, you know, always looking for a door to open into this government here, into our government. I mean, so what was his point? Why did he have to have this stuff? Okay, and you know, really, you know, outside of the realm of those possibilities, they have no value. Okay, but the only people who would find value in it are people who are trying to destroy this country from within or from outside. Okay, who else would want our national secrets, right? People who would want to try to ruin our country somehow. So that right there has to be made loud and clear to the American public. It's like, look, he didn't take these things because he was going to make paper mache, you know, things, or, you know, make paper airplanes, or just to hang up on the wall in a frame as a decorative thing. Okay, that's not why he wanted those things. Okay, give me a break. He took those specific files for a reason, and they were all specific. Each of them had a variety of importance in the government, very, very specific, and very, you know, very detrimental to our national security if given in the wrong hands. All right, it was bad enough they were in Trump's hands. He is the wrong hands. Okay, but he could have gave them into Trump, other leaders around the world who were in better shape to do some damage to us with that stuff than he was. Okay, but I do believe that he had it out for Biden, because you remember how he was so difficult about allowing Biden into the White House. I mean, he wouldn't let his transition team in there. He didn't want them coming in there at all. Stay the hell out. Okay, this is my office. You stay the hell out of it. That was his thing. So that tells you he's got a very overbearing and a very vindictive nature. Okay, so when he found out that he wasn't going to be able to stay in there, what do you think he tried to do? He went and grabbed whatever thing he could get his hands on that was important, filled up boxes, okay, and carted it right out of the White House in front of the news. The fucking news media was standing right there when they were showing boxes being loaded in the back of a big U-Haul like truck, you know. You know, and they asked him, well, what the hell is all that? You know, they didn't even know what he was taking out of there. But it's right on live. It was right there on TV the day he had to leave, and they were showing boxes being loaded up in a truck, and that was all that was said about it. Okay. And I do believe it showed he had more than just 15 boxes in the back of that truck at the time. There was a lot more than that in there. So, assuming that all those boxes were the classified data, okay, there was a lot more boxes in there than that. But the fact is, they were loading up boxes, and the media didn't seem to know what was there, you know, and they didn't look like boxes you would pack belongings in, like clothes and, you know, knickknacks and crap like that. Okay. He wouldn't need that stuff anyway. He's got a better place somewhere else in this country to live at. Why would he want to decorate the White House to look any more immaculate than it already is? You know, so for a guy to be hauling that much crap out of there was really questionable. So, you know, we have a situation in our country right now where we're being asked, do we really respect the rule of law? Do we really want people in positions of power to be told that if you're the president, it's legal? If you do it, it's legal. You know, do we really want to give them that kind of a yardstick? Because if we do, then what's to stop another president from doing worse, to actually destroying our national security to the point where America is just crippled beyond belief. You know, and nobody's safe. I mean, our country would look like, you know, friggin' Iraq or something, and and if you were, there's gunfire all around you every day, and it's a normal thing, you know. You know, we have to say, look, if we mean what we say about justice for all, okay, then we also have to say nobody can be above the law, and that includes our leadership. And if it means anybody to anybody, the same way it meant to so many people that O.J. Simpson get convicted for the crime they believe that he did, okay, this should also be of the same caliber. This should also incense the public to bring this man to justice. Do not let him escape justice. He has to be put in front of a jury or whatever. This has to be settled. We have to put him through the system, okay? He has to go through the system. And if we don't do that, then we're just, you might as well say, piss on the fucking Statue of Liberty, piss on justice, piss on government and civility. We don't need it. Because if the top man in the country can get away with crimes like that, then there's no reason why anybody below him has to worry about going out and killing your next door neighbor, going out with your car and driving at any speed you want, shooting at cops, going after anybody that pisses you off. There's no reason why anybody should have to pay for any crime at all. Okay, if you let this man get away with this crime, there's no reason why anybody should ever have to answer for any law at all. Okay, you're just opening the door to the degradation of civility in America, and the rest of the world's going to sit back and watch as this country tears itself apart. Okay, this man, of all people in this country, has to be the example that the rest of us have to learn by. That there is a law, there is a line drawn in the sand, and no one is allowed to step over that. Okay, no one. When it comes to national security, there is no exception. Okay, if you did something that puts it in jeopardy, you have to answer that crime. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, and right now, Trump's lawyers are trying to find ways to wiggle themselves out of this by going through every piece of documentation that he had in his home in Mar-a-Lago to evaluate the severity of the classified data. How deadly was it? How dangerous was it to have? You know, in other words, they're going to try and charge him individually for every piece that he had. They're not going to take it all together and lump it all into one big violation of the law. They're going to look at every piece of paper he had there and decide how many pieces of that paper, how many pieces of what he had can be used against him in court. So that means not everything that he had is going to be actionable. Some of it will be, some of it won't be. Okay, that's what they're trying to do, because they want to reduce, okay, the severity of the punishment he might be getting if this goes to if he's charged. Okay, so that is a big job right there, because he had a lot of stuff to begin with. They're going to have to go through all of that individually to find out how severe they want to take this. Okay, personally, I think one piece of data stolen from there is bad enough. Okay. And if you get a maximum penalty for that, then with all the stuff that he's got there, he should never see the light of day again. Okay, after he's convicted. Okay, he really shouldn't. The man already should be behind bars waiting for a trial date. Okay, as far as I'm concerned, he should be out and about, going on shows, doing interviews, setting foot anywhere. I mean, he shouldn't even be out, because if it was anybody else, they would put him in a holding cell until the trial date is there. He wouldn't be given bail. He wouldn't be allowed to go anywhere because of a flight risk. Okay, that's how bad this is. I mean, people don't see it that way because they're allowing Trump to go here and there, so they think, oh well, if they're letting him out like that, then it can't be that bad, right? Well, no, it is bad. It is bad. They're letting him walk around like that because it's a political fight. Okay, you've got the right wing out there on various TV shows trying to defend this fucker. Okay, trying to come up with any reason at all to try to say that, oh, this is a witch hunt, this is that, you know, because at the same time, you got people that supported Trump who are feeling like they've got egg on their face right now, that they've been lied to, they've been misled, sold up the river. Okay, they feel like they've been betrayed. All right? They don't want to say that to you, but they do feel like that. They feel betrayed because of that. But it's like, hey, you know what? Hillary Clinton warned you about this guy. She knew him. They hung around with him for once in a while, her and her husband, okay? They knew what he was like. He's a big bloated dummy is what he is. They knew what he was, okay? And other people that hung around, even his family members, you know, knew him to be what he is, you know, an idiot and a dangerous man if he's given enough money and power to do something. They knew what he was like. They were trying to warn us way back then, but nobody cared to listen because the media got all their jollies off of him. They made a ton of money every time he opened his yap. Okay, they had the cameras right there, the microphones hanging over his fucking head. Okay, he was much more entertaining to watch than Hillary Clinton. Okay, and once the Democrats, you know, sealed their fate by, you know, putting her in the front for their party, okay, the damage had already been done, essentially, to Hillary, and Trump's star was still on the rise. And so, the press knew it, you know, that there was a good chance he'd win. So they hitched their wagon on him, and they won, okay? But the fact is that's the reason why he became president. But the other fact is he didn't really actually win the election. He won because of the Electoral College giving him the election, but the majority of the votes in this country actually went to Hillary Clinton by 3 million plus, okay? She actually got the majority of vote, but because we had that stupid system in place, she lost, okay? But anyway, he gets put in the fucking White House, and, you know, of course he makes it, you know, known to everybody that he's going to do all kinds of wonderful things, and none of that ever happens. And of course then the pandemic hits, and you know the rest of the story. But when he left and we find out all these things, it didn't come out all at once. You know, people didn't know all this stuff happened all at once. It came out a little at a time. And here we are all this time later, and it's still coming out, okay? It's very hard to be a defender of this guy if things keep coming out about this guy, and his answers to all the stuff is really not very inspiring at all. It doesn't engender any hope in his supporters that he's innocent. I mean, has anybody heard him say anything at all that has any substance that says I'm being framed here, other than just saying I'm being framed? He hasn't. He's still going around lying about that the election was stolen from him. He's still going around telling lies about the information they found in his home. Okay, they're still finding out all kinds of things about what he did while he was president. Okay, and the January 6th mess that he got himself into. So many things, and all this time, nothing he ever said has the possibility of exonerating him from it. He has not. Even those lawyers can't even come up with a proper defense for any of this stuff. To me, that says, look, he's so guilty, even the lawyers can't find a way to defend him. You know, how is he going to stand up at court when he's got a team of lawyers, and with all the lawyers, you know, in their brains, they still have a very hard time against the prosecution to defend Trump. Trump's really in trouble here, folks. He's in some serious fucking hot water here. I'm not sure Trump even is aware of that. He might be. I don't know. It depends on how aware he is of his reality. You know, because he does lie a lot. That means he kind of lives in his own world. So I'm not really sure he really knows what he's in for here. But it's not going to be easy. He's going to drag his family through the mud, worse than they already have been. Maybe deservedly so for a couple of them. But, you know, he's going to drag the family through it pretty bad. And he don't care. All right? They don't care. Now you got people wondering what he buried in the ground at his golf course. Because people are saying that the casket that they carried his ex-wife out was way heavier than it should have been for one body in there. Okay, so they're wondering if he didn't try to hide stuff in that casket. So I would predict at some point down the road, someone's going to exhume that body just to open up the casket to see what the hell's in there. Okay, you know what I'm saying? I mean, it certainly would explain why he took the odd step of making his golf course into a cemetery. to bury his ex-wife there. Whoever done that before, you know? Nobody's ever done that before. He does that. And there has to be more than a reason for tax breaks, because people saying the kind of tax breaks he get wouldn't matter to a man of his wealth. Okay? So what the hell did he really do that for? What was the point to that? And why are the kids not offended by it? You know, that their mother is buried in a fucking golf course. You know, there's a lot there, a lot of question marks around that action right there. That's going to make people want to, you know, who knows? It just might be some truth to it, or maybe there isn't. I don't know, but I do think that one day somebody's going to want to exhume the body to find out, or exhume the casket and find out what else is in there besides, you know, the remains of his ex-wife. You know, it's sad, you know, isn't it? It's sad that we had a leader in our country who was this close to basically ripping away all the security this country has to protect our, you know, our safety and everything, just because he lost an honest election, the most honest one that this country ever saw, you know, by the turnout that it got. Okay, so honest, in fact, that the Republicans went above and beyond themselves to try to change the rules about how we do elections, because they didn't want to go through that again. They know goddamn well they lost. If they didn't think that, they wouldn't be going through redistricting and all that. They would be going to court after court after court to challenge the election results, right? But they lost in 60 plus cases. Okay, they know that there was no shenanigans in that thing, so they know goddamn well they lost in an honest election. That's why they're redistricting. That's why they're trying to make it more difficult for people to go vote. You know what I'm saying? Their actions right there are already admitting to you that they know the truth of things. Okay, even though what they're saying is a complete fabrication. All right, they know goddamn well they lost that election fair and square. Okay, they just let Trump do his thing to gain them more momentum to be able to do what they want, which is to change the map. So, anyway, that's it for today. I hope everybody has a great rest of the week. Please take the time to find out how things are going with the COVID-19 in your area, and the monkeypox thing, which really hasn't been in the news lately that much, but check it out anyway to make sure it's okay. And please subscribe and comment. Look forward to reading your comments, and I hope everybody treats each other nice. Try to make the change that we're going through here mean something for later on, because people are really going to want to see something better than what we have now in days to come. We have to evolve. Don't de-evolve us back any more than we have been. We don't want to relive those terrible days of old. We want to keep making strides forward, because that's what humanity is about. We're about moving forward, not backwards. All right, take care, everybody.